Hello and welcome back to the studio, lovely painter people. Today I'm going to do an acrylic, and it looks like a very simple acrylic. It's from a photograph I took down on my beach with the dogs earlier this year, and I don't know if you can see that. I'll let Gail zoom into it. It looks very, very simple, but there's actually quite a lot going on with colour in there. And it's about this bit in the foreground. You know when you get the wet bit on the beach, between sea and beach? Sometimes that can be quite difficult, but I'll show you how to get that effect. What I'm going to do first of all, and I need my glasses to look at this, what I'm going to do first of all is get the sky wash on, and then I'll do the little bit of drawing, like the horizon line and such, once the sky's on. Very, very simple. Actually, no, I'll do the horizon line now, I think. There. All I need for my horizon line is a simple line. About there. I'll use my palette to get a straight line. There. Straight away across. That's it, horizon line done. And on there, I'm just taking back everything I've said previously by doing the drawing now. I'm just going to block in where I've got my sea. Coming in here. Bit of a zigzag there. The pencil I'm using, screw fix today. And this is coming diagonally down, like so. A few wobbly bits in, because this is waves rippling up to the shore. And I'm just going to map in, where the darker bit of sea stops and all the light stuff starts. There, like so. As you can see on here, there's one of the dogs. That's Frank with his frisbee coming out of the sea. I shall put him in later. And I might add a figure or two as well. We'll see. But that's my drawing done. So now it's on with the paint, and I'm afraid to say that my acrylic palette is just as much of a mess as my watercolour palette is. These are Stay Wet palettes. This is a big one. A lot of people find those a bit unmanageable because they are very big, but I've always got one on the go. We sell some smaller ones, so they're easier to hold, the small ones, but the same kind of like process. And in here, as you can see, that's acrylics dries up really quickly. So by the time you finish the painting, you've got to throw what paints that you've got left. You throw them out, or they ruin your palettes. With these, it keeps it moist all the time, because you've got a filament underneath, and then you've got the paper that goes on top. You squeeze your paint out on there once you've moistened the underneath bit, and then when you finish painting at the end of the day, just put the lid back on, and that keeps it moist all the time. This one's been on the go for probably a month now. I change them probably every couple of months really. But the paint's all, you can see it all glistening, it's all ready just to paint with. So, acrylic Stay Wet palettes, really useful things. They save you as much as they cost in the paint that you don't throw away. What I'm doing here, to start with, I've got cobalt blue, there, and a lot of titanium white. A lot of titanium white. There we go. Don't want too much water into this. I've pre-stained my canvas with raw sienna, and that's just very simply just painting the whole thing in raw sienna. Let it dry. It doesn't matter if it comes out messy because you're going to cover it up, but it's nice to have an undercolour showing through wherever you want it. Filling in there. Now, as I start and come further down, I'm going to add more white into the mix, look. Getting lighter as it's coming further down. Like I said, there's quite a few colours going to go into this sky. And again, lighter still. Just like decorating the lounge, there's big brush side to side. Again, a bit more white. Got a sky there already. So simple. Coming up to my horizon line. The thing about horizon lines, people bash on about rule of thirds, and I've seen people with rulers measuring out exactly a third or 2/3 for the sky or for the horizon line. You don't need to be that precious about it. As long as the horizon line's not bang in the middle. Just below half will do, just above half will do, just not bang in the middle. Now, into that mix, I'm going to put a little bit of deep violet. There, warmer, you see. Actually, a touch more. There, that's better. A few touches here and there. And I just want that to shine through here and there. More water. Good wash out there. Now, into that mix, I'm going to put a tiny touch of Payne's Grey. There. So because the violet's in there, touch more of that. Because the violet's in there, I'm getting a bit of warmth into it. Across. And a few bits up here as well. That one there. Quite a soft sky. Now, wash my brush out well. Good sort out there. Wipe it on your frock. And a bit of titanium white. Just titanium white. Bash that on. And this is all with my 1.5 inch wash brush. And incidentally, these are the same brushes, a different set of the same brushes that I use for my watercolour paintings. These are Aquafine watercolour brushes. But because they're so sturdy, you can really give them some abuse. And as you can tell, this one's been on the go for quite a long time now. It's as I said, it's exactly the same as my watercolour brushes, the same set. 1.5 inch flat, 3/4 inch flat, number 8 round, and a number 4 rigger, all the same. All looking a bit messier now. It'll be fine, he said. It'll be fine, hopefully. Now, wash my brush out well again. And I'm always just building up on the same colour. Back into that mix that we used there. Touch more Payne's Grey into it. Let's darker look. Some of that underneath. And a bit more of that down here. Touch more Payne's Grey. And a bit more of that up here as well. A bit more Payne's Grey. All very messy and lovely and juicy paints. I love System 3 paints. These are Dale Rowney System 3 Aquafine. These are Dale Rowney System 3 acrylic paints. And they go on so creamily and lovely. Now, out of that mess, I'm now going to make a sky. Just with my finger. All I'm doing, look, roll and soften. Like that. Not like that, just like that. going into the dark now. Again down here. I'm going to put a few more bits of white in a minute when I finish smoothing it through. And I'm just rolling my finger, look, fairly gently, smoothing stuff in. And that's why my smoke throw was so messy. Acrylics are so lovely to paint outdoors on location as well. Or as some people would say, sorry, en plein air, out on location. Because they dry fairly quickly and you're not carrying sticky oil canvases back home with you. You can get the same effect more or less as oils, but they dry. Still smoothing. You see what a different sky that makes now. This, by the way, is digital art. I always amuse myself with the same jokes. There you see. Now I'm going to go back in there and put a little bit more white here and there. But I'm going to change brushes. Go to my 3/4 inch flat brush this time. And some good sharp strong white. Don't want too much water in that, just a damp brush. And a bit here. Like so. Just to start and shape a few more clouds. And a couple down here as well. And I'm putting that white into the dark stuff. It shows more. And that. And a couple of bits down up here as well. Now again, back in with my finger and just soften underneath in this. I'm leaving quite a sharp white edge on top. Likewise here. I went quiet for a minute then. You are allowed to breathe when you do this, by the way. Amazing how many people, when you're doing a sky watch, they oh, God, and they don't breathe until they've finished it. Softening underneath here. But leaving a few sharp bits of white, look. And again here. And that is my sky more or less done. And once you put your first mark on the canvas, you've got about 10 minutes to fiddle and play about. And after that, you're fiddling unnecessarily. So, I really should stop fiddling now, shouldn't I? There. That is that bit done. Now, the sky is no way dry, but it's dry enough for me to carry on painting. I've just found a dog hair there. It's a black Labrador hair, which is now gone. Could have been worse. Could have been a rabbit instead of a hare. Oh, stupid heavens. Now, Again, the cobalt blue and burnt sienna. Sorry, not burnt sienna, Payne's grey. I will learn to speak today. So that's cobalt blue and Payne's grey, but now with a touch of Hooker's green in it as well. Yeah. That'll do nicely, I think. Here, a bit more blue. There, that's my mix. Looks a bit muddy and nasty, but it's not. And all I'm doing now is filling in the top sea line, coming across here. And a more or less straight line across here. It's going to be more or less straight line because I haven't had red wine yet. It gets straighter after red wine. All the way across. So now, as soon as I get a line in there and start my sea, the sky always makes more sense then. I know exactly what I mean by that, but the sky's in position, if you know what I mean. It kind of like starts to set the atmosphere for the whole thing. Just straighten them up a little bit more there. And now bring it down a bit. And just like when I painted the sky, as I was coming further down, I was adding more white into the mix. So now, into this mix here that I'm painting, I'm going to start adding some white to it. A bit there. Like so. And feed that into the darker stuff here and there. Coming all the way across. A bit more of that. And at the minute, that's a sharp edge where they're joining. Now what I'm going to do with my finger is just stroke across and take one into the other slightly. See? Just merging in a little bit. Now, just white. Washing my brush out well first. And just with titanium white, get in this bit here. And again, it's with my 3/4 inch brush. Obviously, as I'm coming across here, because this is all wet paint, as I'm going on with the white, I'm picking up the undercolour here and there. So, just keep dipping into the white to keep it white. Leave a bit of that undercolour showing through here and there. A bit more white. And a few bits of white into the dark stuff now. Starting to create a few waves further out. Get all kinds of weird comments on YouTube feedback. Somebody said the other day, I think the cameraman needs drug testing. God knows what they meant by that. But there are some weirdos out there. And I said this to Gail, and she said she hadn't had any at all that day, so I don't know what I was talking about. And again, a few more bits. Now you can see, look, start to create a bit of wave. Wash my brush out again. And just white again, but stronger. Come in here. More white. And again, more white. And with that lot, I'm going to create a few ripples with darker paint within the white areas. But first of all, I just need that to settle. It won't be dry, but just not be quite as tacky as it is for about 5 minutes. There. Like I said, this is not dry yet, not by any means, but it's getting there. So now I've got into the original sea colour that I used, the original sea mix, I'm going to put a little bit more Payne's Grey. And all I need are a few, with my rigger brush, number 4 rigger brush, a few wiggly bits of that darker colour. Wiggly to create the underside of a wave coming in. And these are just broken lines, wiggly. Another one there. And don't have any solid unbroken lines, just bits. Like that. Don't like that one, so I'll just soften it, look, with a stroke of my finger. Another one here. And over here. And you notice here and there, I'm leaving bits of the understain showing through. Like here, in between the sea here and there. Not much, but it just kind of like lets that little bit of extra light shine through here and there. Now, wash my brush out. Back to white. Good strong white. Still with the rigger brush. A few more touches. You can hardly see these probably, but I can. And it keeps me happy. Sounded a bit like Bob Ross then, didn't I? Be happy. Every tree deserves a friend. Bit more white. And that is more or less my sea done. Apart from just where it really comes into the land there, I add a little bit more dark just here. There. And there. Rigger brush, fabulous little brushes. Don't be afraid of them because they do flick and bounce around a little bit, but you don't want perfect straight lines, not in a sea or in a tree. There, that'll do. Now it's time for the beach, which the majority of is very wet. So I'm starting off with, again, the cobalt blue, put that there, titanium white, and the tiniest hint of my deep violet, or as I call it, violent violet. And I'm coming in here, like so. It's very dark at the moment, it'll be fine. Now, wash my brush out and add some more white on top of that. Like so. Now, a little bit more cobalt blue. Basically, I'm just adding all the colours of the sky. And again, wash out. And now I'm just going to merge those colours together on the canvas with a clean damp brush, 3/4 inch flat. And coming further down. Going up to where I put those last dark lines at the base of the seat. And again, more water into this. And up to there again. And now, back to white, just white. But this time, when I put the white on, I'm going to drag that downwards, like so. More of that here. And some more here. Keeping dipping into the white because I'm picking up that undercolour, of course. Now, that's not finished, but I don't want to move it just yet. I just want to leave it for a few minutes, a couple of minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to come into the beach bit here, the bit that's not wet. So, a little bit of raw umber with white into it. So there's my raw umber, look, there. Touch of white into it. Bit more water. And then in here. Bit more raw umber. That's better. Filling in the bottom of the canvas there. And leave a little bit of the undercolour, the understain, showing through as well. Now I'm going to wash my brush out. Squeeze out. And now I'm going to go back to that lot, and just with a clean damp brush. Go through that way. Wash my brush out again. And now into this and go into that beach bit here. All with a clean damp brush, and that's the 3/4 inch brush again. Now I'm going to make sure that that goes up to the sea properly. It's all still wet, remember. It's the clean damp brush again. And now, finally, in that little bit, back to my rigger brush, just with white again. I'll have a few bits there with the end of the rigger brush. A few touches. Back in with my finger, gentle stroke across the head. There. I need that to dry now because it's figures next. Now, all of this lot is now good and dry. I've only waited 5 minutes. So, what I'm going to do now is just pop the figures in. I'm going to use my pencil again. They're quite way off, so no need for detail. Just blobs, look. There's one. And here's the dogs. One and two. And that will do for the drawing. Now I just need to paint them in. And way back there, and it's kind of like early evening really, so I don't want too much colour on those figures. I'm going to keep them nice and dark, almost silhouetted really. So I'm just going in with my rigger brush again, and Payne's Grey. Just Payne's Grey. There's a little bit of water in the rigger brush. Because a rigger brush, if you go in with the paint too thick, will start and cake up a little bit. So when you're using a rigger, have a little bit more water into it so that it flows out of the brush. That's Payne's Grey. And down there. And I'm just literally blocking in the figure. Couple of legs. And now the dogs. If you paint them big and brown, you could be walking his buffaloes. Never mind, I'll just keep amusing myself. One dog. Tail. And another dog. So simple. I'm just broadening out the figure a little bit. Of course, it's probably me with Frank and Bert, so the figure definitely needs to be wider, unfortunately. Now, what makes those figures part of the landscape is the reflection coming down from them in that wet sand. And there. to be too precise with the reflections. It's just a matter of getting the colour in the right place. But even on wet surfaces, or on a river even, if you've got reflections, you're also going to get shadow, even though it's on wet surface. So I'm going to bring a little bit more water into that brush and have a bit of shadow going out there. Very simple straight lines. One last thing to do, back to my 3/4 inch flat brush. We'll have a little bit of white there. Just pop it on. And a couple of touches of white just there. And now, smooth that in. Just with my finger. Bit of digital art again. A little bit of brown, raw umber. And dip in again. Because of course I'm picking the white up. And down to here. And again, back in with my finger. And that, my friends, is that done. There we go, a finished painting. Wasn't too difficult, was it? But you haven't got to be scared about using big brushes because this is just a big wash type painting. The kind of fine detail with the rigger brush is to a minimum. You're not fiddling about too much with any of it. Keep it big, keep it open. There's the paints I'm using, System 3, and these Dale Rowney System 3 acrylics. For these big tubes, they're only about, I think they're £2.70 on my website. It's all there on the website, have a look at it. But System 3 are lovely, yummy paints. They go on really thick and creamy, they're nice. And if you want to start with acrylics, the absolute beginner's guide to acrylics. And it's such an easy format of a book, that one. There's lots of different projects in it, look, going all the way through, lots of projects, from easy working through to more difficult. From working with acrylics on paper, watercolour paper, to working through on canvases. And you've even got the drawings replicated into a pull-out format, so you can use the drawings there. There you go. Very, very easy book to follow. That's one of Search Press's, my publishers, that's one of their best sellers because it is so straightforward and easy to use. So give it a go. If you haven't got it, get it. The paints, System 3. The brushes that I've just used, again, are my Aquafine brushes, which are watercolour brushes. 1.5 inch flat, 3/4 inch flat, number 3 round, number 4 rigger, and a number 8 round. And that's all I'm using all the time. And those, as you can see, have had some good long wear over the years. And they will stand for a lot of abuse. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. The one we're going to do after this, in a few days, is going back to watercolour pencils again. So plenty more to come. Have fun with your painting and stay safe. Bye bye.